Prince Harry walked onto the Jimmy Kimmel live stage, greeted by applause. He wore a calm smile, but behind his eyes was a storm. Jimmy, always playful, cracked a joke about royal life, and Harry chuckled. Barely. The audience laughed, but the tension built quickly. Jimmy leaned in, teasing, "So, you miss the palace drama, or is L.A. drama better?" Harry's smile faded. "It's not funny, Jimmy. That drama nearly destroyed my family." The crowd's laughter died as Harry's voice grew colder. Jimmy tried to recover. "Hey, we joke here. Light stuff. You know how it works." Harry didn't blink. "Light for you. My wife cried herself to sleep for months. That's not light." Jimmy's grin faltered. "We all go through things, Harry. Welcome to Hollywood." That jab landed hard. The prince straightened. "You're mocking pain, real pain." The audience shifted uncomfortably. Jimmy tried to steer the conversation away. Okay, let's switch gears. How's your Netflix deal?" Harry didn't let go. "That's what matters, right? Deals, dollars, ratings?" Jimmy smirked. "Well, it's a talk show, not a therapy session." Harry leaned in, his voice low but firm. "Then maybe I'm on the wrong stage." Jimmy raised his eyebrows. "Maybe you are." The silence was sharp. The tension thickened. Harry looked out at the crowd. "You all came to laugh, but have you ever asked what it costs for someone to leave everything behind? To protect their family?" Jimmy shrugged. "People make sacrifices. Welcome to adulthood." The audience gasped. Harry clenched his fists. "You reduce a global smear campaign and threats to my wife's life to adulthood?" Jimmy chuckled nervously. "Look, it's late night. We poke fun." Harry's tone dropped. "You don't poke fun, Jimmy. You poke wounds. And tonight you poked the wrong one." Jimmy crossed his arms. "You're a public figure. Comes with the job." Harry stood up. "No, I'm a human. And I walked away from that job to save my soul." The room was frozen. Jimmy looked to producers offstage. "Okay, maybe we cut this short." A voice from backstage whispered, "Wrap it up now." Harry didn't budge. "People like you, Jimmy, profit from mockery. You smile while families suffer." Jimmy stood too, annoyed. "Now, you think you're the only one with problems? You think your crown makes you immune to jokes?" Harry's jaw tightened. "I gave up the crown, and clearly I should have given up appearances like this." The audience was stunned. No laughs, no applause, just silence. Jimmy gestured to security. "I think we're done here." Harry looked at the guards walking in, his voice full of royal steel. "Touch me, and I walk straight into every camera outside and tell them what really goes on in these studios." The guards hesitated. Jimmy scoffed. "Is that a threat?" Harry met his gaze. "It's a promise." Jimmy turned to the audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, Prince Harry, everybody!" The crowd gave a half-hearted clap, unsure what they were witnessing. Harry didn't move. "You wanted drama? Now you have it." Jimmy looked to the control room. "Cut the feed." The show. Cameras blinked off, but someone backstage was still rolling on a phone. Harry turned to leave, but paused. "The monarchy was cruel, but America's fake smiles are just as poisonous." He walked off. The air remained shattered. Backstage, producers argued in hushed voices. What just happened? Do we edit it or bury it? One assistant whispered, "It's already online. Someone posted it." Jimmy pulled off his mic. "He played the victim card." A voice snapped back. "He bled on your stage and you mocked him." Harry, outside now, stood in the parking lot, breathing deep. Paparazzi already swarmed, flashes, exploding. He ignored the questions. "Did Jimmy kick you off? Are you okay, Harry? Is Meghan watching?" Harry said nothing. He slid into the black SUV waiting and slammed the door. Inside he slumped, exhaustion washing over him. "It always ends this way," he muttered. His team remained silent. They had seen that look before, the weight of a man exiled by his own choices and condemned for speaking truth. Meanwhile, the video clip surged across social media. Prince Harry versus Jimmy Kimmel. Unedited. The hashtags exploded. Royal meltdown. Kimmel kicked. Harry. Harry speaks truth. Comment sections divided fast. He's right. Entitled Prince. Jimmy was out of line. Major outlets scrambled for statements. The studio released a brief one. Tonight's interview did not proceed as planned. We wish Prince Harry well. Harry's publicist was furious. They baited you, he replied. They expected a puppet. I'm not one, Meghan called. I saw it. Are you okay? His voice cracked. I told them the truth, and they couldn't handle it. She whispered, I'm proud of you. But the storm had just begun. Late-night comedians joked, memes spread, editors dissected every second. But many noticed. Harry never raised his voice. Jimmy the next night tried to laugh it off. Well, folks, royalty isn't what it used to be. Some laughed, others winced. A growing crowd online pushed back. Mental health isn't comedy. Celebrities chimed in. That moment was painful to watch, one tweeted. Oprah posted a simple emoji. The debate raged, but Harry remained silent. His silence spoke louder than Jimmy's punchlines. Behind. Closed doors, Jimmy's team argued. This could tank our image. Or boost ratings. He looked bad. We looked worse. Sponsors started calling. We don't want to be associated with that clip. Jimmy shrugged. It'll blow over. But it didn't. People remembered how Harry stood his ground, how the studio silenced him, how laughter turned into discomfort, and how the truth pierced through jokes. A week later, Harry issued a statement. I appeared on that show believing there was space for honest conversation. I was wrong, but I do not regret speaking out. We must hold media accountable for mocking trauma. The statement went viral. Mental health advocates rallied behind him. He stood alone and still stood tall. Protesters even appeared outside the studio, signs reading, Pain isn't a punchline. Jimmy remained defiant on air, but off camera he was rattled. His reputation took a hit. A former staffer spoke out. He's joked about worse. This time the world saw it. Networks discussed pulling reruns. Harry, meanwhile, focused on his foundation. Book sales soared, support surged. He refused to go back on the show. That chapter's closed, he told Meghan. Let them spin. I'll keep walking truth. Tabloids speculated wildly. Royal versus Rebel. Is Harry canceling comedy? Late-night comedians grew cautious. Guests grew selective. But for Harry, the noise was behind him. He spoke at mental health summits, invited to panels where his voice mattered. It's not about attention. It's about dignity, he said. His words echoed further than laughter ever could. A different kind of crown rested on his head now. Weeks passed, and Jimmy's show dipped in ratings, a noticeable shift. Viewers tweeted, The show feels cold now. Jimmy tried to recover with humor, but it landed flat. Guests tiptoed. There was fear of becoming the next headline. Meanwhile, Harry was invited to speak at a UN event. Silence can heal or harm. It depends who wields it, he said. Cameras flashed. The man once mocked was now revered. Behind the scenes, Meghan watched proudly. You've turned pain into power, she said, hugging him. Harry nodded. It wasn't just my pain. It was millions. I just said it out loud. That night, an old friend texted, Diana would be proud. Harry stared at the message for minutes, tears threatening. The battle had left scars, but also opened doors, and he was no longer afraid to walk through them. Jimmy, alone in his office, watched clips of old shows. His laughter once ruled the night. Now it echoed hollow. He whispered, Maybe I crossed a line. A producer entered. The network wants changes. Jimmy rubbed his face. Format? Tone, the producer said. We're losing trust. Jimmy sighed. So the prince won? The producer replied. No, the truth did. Jimmy said nothing. He knew it was over. Articles analyzed the fallout. Comedy versus compassion. Where's the line? Journalists debated free speech and ethical humor. University panels discussed the cultural shift. Harry had sparked something larger than a feud. It was about the weight of words. A headline read, "The night the laugh track died." Jimmy's team was told to issue a formal apology. He resisted. Then the sponsors threatened to pull. Jimmy sat in his dressing room, staring at the mirror. "I'm not the villain," he mumbled. But inside he wasn't so sure. That night he opened the show differently. No band, no jokes, just him. "A few weeks ago, I said things that hurt someone deeply. I thought I was being funny. I was wrong." The audience was silent. "Prince Harry, if you're watching, I'm sorry, truly." A rare, raw moment. The internet erupted. "Too late," some shouted. Others said, "At least he admitted it." Meghan watched the clip. "Do you believe him?" she asked. Harry replied, "I believe he felt pressure, but it's a start." The apology didn't erase the pain, but it reopened conversation. Mental health advocates praised the moment. "Not perfect, but progress," one said. Change was creeping in, one broadcast at a time. In London, royal reporters were stunned. "Harry stole the narrative," they whispered. Back at Buckingham, silence. No comment. But insiders claimed William privately said, "He's finally becoming his own man." Across oceans, Harry's voice had reached unlikely ears. In classrooms, students discussed empathy. In courtrooms, language shifted, all because one man refused to laugh along. Netflix offered Harry another documentary, this time on media ethics. He declined. "This story isn't mine alone," he said. "Let others tell it too." Instead, he launched a grant for young creators exploring truth in media. "I'd rather build platforms than chase cameras," he told a crowd. The audience stood in ovation. Meghan smiled from the front row. This was no longer just about one bad night. Jimmy's show slowly recovered, but never returned to its former glory. Some fans left, others stayed out of habit. The spark was gone. His jokes, once sharp, now treaded lightly. He interviewed celebrities, but the shadow of that night lingered. Harry never returned, nor did he speak of Jimmy again. He didn't need to. The world had already seen, and more importantly, they had listened. Years later, a journalist asked, "Harry, would you do that interview again?" He paused. "Yes, but I'd speak even louder." The moment had carved a new path. His charity thrived. His message echoed. Young people saw him not as a prince, but as a man who stood up when it was hard. Jimmy, now retired, wrote a memoir, one chapter titled, "The Night I Learned." "Nothing's funnier than the truth." In that chapter he admitted, "I was arrogant. I thought humor was a shield. But sometimes it's a weapon, and I wielded it carelessly." The confession surprised many. It touched some hearts. Harry never commented, but his silence spoke volumes. At a charity gala he said, "Redemption isn't about apologies, it's about changed behavior." The crowd applauded. Not the prince, but the man. In classrooms, that interview clip played in media ethics courses. Teachers said, "This is where tone matters." A student once asked, "Was it scripted?" The professor replied, "No, that's what makes it real." Harry's legacy shifted. From scandal to symbol. From tabloid target to truth-teller. And Jimmy's, a reminder that everyone must face the moment when the joke no longer lands. And so, the world moved on. But not unchanged. That heated exchange became legend. Not for its drama, but for its meaning. For what it exposed, challenged, and transformed. In the end, it wasn't about who won or lost. It was about what rose from the fire. And in that moment, on that stage, two men collided. But only one walked away, having lit a torch for truth that still burns today.